Hi, I'm Megan and welcome to my kitchen. In today's video, I've got 4 recipes to share with you for game day snacks. 2 of these are family favorites, 2 of these are new recipes that we're going to try together, so let's get into these recipes. First up, I'm making a veggie crescent pizza. I have the recipe linked down below. This is one of my favorites. I absolutely love this, and I am ashamed at how much of this I can eat. This is really easy. So first what we're going to do is spray a baking sheet, and then I'm going to lay down a layer of crescent rolls. Now I did have the recipe because it was just my husband and I this day, but the full recipe calls for 2 rolls. And then all we're going to do is bake the crescent roll dough according to the package instructions and allow it to cool completely. And a quick note before we move on, if you noticed, I used a can of the Crescent sheet just to make it easier. But if you're using just regular crescent roll dough, just make sure you pinch the seams together really well. Now for the quote-unquote sauce for our pizza, we're going to use some softened cream cheese, sour cream, and dry ranch dressing mix. And I have made this before where I have substituted a non-fat Greek yogurt for the sour cream. So once I've added all those ingredients to a bowl, I'm going to stir them until they're combined really well. Now you can pull out a hand mixer or stand mixer for this if you'd like to get it super smooth, but I just use a spatula, it works just fine. Once that's combined, I'm going to spread that out over my crust, and next we'll add the toppings. For the veggie toppings, here is what I like to use. Use whatever you like or your family likes or whatever you've got on hand. So I've got some diced cucumber, carrots, tomato, broccoli, and then some shredded cheddar cheese. You could also do like green onions, bell pepper, zucchini, like I said, whatever you like. I'm going to sprinkle the vegetables and cheese over the pizza, and then I like to take my fingertips and just kind of press everything down into the cream cheese so it doesn't fall off as much. We're going to cut that into squares, and that's it. It's ready to serve. And like I said, this is so delicious. I love this. This is great for football food, but it's also great just for game night or, if you're doing appetizers or just for dinner. You could make this along with a side and you are good to go. It's a great way to get your kiddos to eat vegetables. And I will say though that the longer this sits in the refrigerator, the softer your crescent roll dough is going to get. Of course, you're going to have, the moisture from the cream cheese and the vegetables kind of seep into that. So, you can eat this right away or within a few hours. Of course, you can eat it the next day. Just be mindful of that. Your crescent rolls are going to be a little bit soft on you. But I hope you all give this recipe a try. If you've never tried it before, it's delicious. Next, I tried a new recipe for Kentucky hot brown sliders. I'll have this linked down below as well. Now, I am originally from Kentucky, but I didn't actually grow up eating Kentucky hot brown sandwiches. I didn't have my first one until, it was a few years ago, and it's delicious. Now, they are really rich. If you've never had them before, it is basically an open-faced sandwich with turkey, bacon, usually tomato, and then a Mornay sauce, which a Mornay sauce is just a bechamel sauce with cheese added. So basically, just like if you're making macaroni and cheese, essentially. You're going to make a roux, add in your milk, and then cheese. So let me show you how to make these. These were delicious. I've got some turkey deli meat, bacon that I'm going to cook up. I just cooked mine in the air fryer this day to make it easy. You can bake it or fry it up in a skillet. We've got some shredded white cheddar cheese, some slider buns. I am using these Pepperidge Farm butter buns. I had this half a pack in my freezer that I wanted to use up. We've got some tomatoes, nutmeg, butter, flour, milk. The recipe called for paprika, but I already had my smoked paprika out for another recipe, so I'm just going to use that. And then salt and pepper. I've got the oven preheating to 400 degrees. We're going to start out by making our Mornay sauce. In this saucepan, I've got my butter over about medium heat. I allowed that to melt. Once it melted, I'm going to whisk in the flour and cook that for about a minute. After a minute, I am going to slowly whisk in my milk. And at first, this might look like a hot mess. You might be like, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. Just keep whisking. The lumps will come out. We're going to cook that for just a couple minutes until it thickens, and then we're going to add in our seasonings. So we're adding in the salt, pepper, paprika, and nutmeg. You just need a tiny pinch of the nutmeg. You definitely don't want to go overboard. You don't want to feel like you're eating like pumpkin pie or anything. Just a tiny little pinch. Once I've added in the seasonings, I'm going to add in my cheese, and at this point, I've got my stove off. Once the cheese is melted, that's it. Just give it a taste and adjust the seasonings if you feel like it needs it, and set that to the side. So for the butter for the sliders, this is going to go on the bottoms as well as the tops. In this little dish here, I've got butter, paprika, and nutmeg. I'm going to pop this in the microwave for just a few seconds until the butter is melted. Now I'm ready to assemble the sliders. In this pan here, I've got my bottoms to my slider rolls, and I just happen to have this foil pan out. I'd use it as a lid for something else. That's what I'm going to use. Any baking dish will be fine. Just make sure you grease it. I am going to brush on some of that butter to the bottoms of the rolls. Then I'm going to add my turkey deli meat, my sliced tomatoes, and then some of that Mornay sauce. Next, I'm going to add on my cooked bacon and then a little bit of the shredded cheddar cheese. Finally, I'm going to add the tops to the rolls and then brush the tops with the remaining butter mixture. Now, this is going to go into the oven. The recipe said to bake this for 10 minutes. Now, I will definitely make this recipe again. However, I would change the baking temperature and the bake time. I would turn this down to 350 degrees and I would bake it covered for about 20 minutes. And the only reason why I say that is because not all of the shredded cheddar cheese was melted after the 10 minutes, but the tops were really toasted. So I didn't want to put it back into the oven because I was afraid the bread would just get way too overdone. Here are the finished sliders. These are so yummy and they are the perfect game day snack. They are a little bit on the rich side, but the good thing about that is, especially if you're making this for, a crowd or a bunch of your friends or family, 1 or 2 per person and you're good to go. They are super filling and rich, perfect for the cooler months this time of year. Next up, I'm making crock pot meatballs. Now, I hesitated sharing this with you for a couple reasons. 1, it's so easy. 2, I feel like pretty much everybody makes these or knows how to make them. But I decided to go ahead and share it anyway with you because, maybe not everybody has had them. And also, it might be that it's been a while since you've had these, so maybe it's a good reminder. And also, I thought I would share with you a little twist on these that I saw from Taylor Elmore. So here are the ingredients that you're going to need. You'll need some meatballs. You could use fresh or frozen. I like to use frozen just to keep it easy. And I wouldn't suggest using like the Italian style meatballs. I would do more the home style, but just use whatever kind or brand you prefer. I've tried many different brands from many different stores, and to be completely honest with you, these are my favorite, and I just get these at Dollar General. They are cheap. They're $2 and something for this bag, and I feel like they have a good flavor. They're tender. So these are my favorite, but use your favorite. Next, we're going to use some barbecue sauce. Use your favorite brand. And then here's the little twist that I saw on Taylor Elmore's channel, and I'll have her channel linked down below. She uses pepper jelly, and normally you just use like regular grape jelly for this, and you can do that, but the pepper jelly gives it a little bit of a kick. I wouldn't say that they're hot, but it does give it a nice little kick. All right, let me show you how to put these together. So easy. To my crock pot, I've added my bag of meatballs, and then I'm going to add my barbecue sauce and jelly. I don't measure, I just eyeball it. I just use equal parts of the jelly and the barbecue sauce. I'm going to cover this with a lid, and I cook these on high for 2 hours, and I stir them about halfway through. With meatballs in the crock pot, I wouldn't necessarily say, in my opinion, that this is something that you want to cook all day long for several hours. I've done that in the past, and the meatballs get super, super hard and tough. So just a couple hours on high, and they will be tender and cooked all the way through and delicious. Finally, I tried a new recipe for Jalapeño Popper Dip. Now, I looked at a couple different recipes and kind of combined a few things, but I will link the recipe that I really took inspiration from down in the description box below. Did just make a couple changes to that. Here are the ingredients that we're going to use. I've got some cooked and crumbled bacon. I'm just using this bag from Sam's Club. You could, of course, cook up your own bacon or just leave the bacon out. I've got some softened cream cheese, fresh jalapenos that I'm going to seed and dice finely. You could also use canned jalapenos if you'd prefer to do that. Some of the recipes I saw called for mayonnaise, some called for sour cream, so I decided to just do a little bit of both. So I've got mayonnaise and sour cream, some shredded cheddar cheese, some shredded mozzarella cheese. For seasonings, I'm going to use some onion powder, garlic powder, and some dry ranch dressing mix. And then for the top of our dip, the topping rather of the dip, we're going to use some grated Parmesan cheese, butter, and then Ritz crackers. I happen to have some Townhouse crackers that I want to use up, so I'm going to use those. I've got my oven preheating to 350 degrees. To my bowl, I'm going to add in the cream cheese and then the other ingredients. And a quick tip, if you forget to set your cream cheese out, or if you've set it out and it's still not as soft as what you want it to be, you can remove the cream cheese from the foil packet, pop it in a bowl into the microwave on defrost, and just cook it. You don't need to cook it very long at all. Just maybe, depending on how soft it is, maybe 15 to 30 seconds, and then just, kind of check on it. And it'll soften right up for you. Now, for the seasonings, like I said, I'm using garlic powder, onion powder, some dry ranch dressing mix. You'll see me here in just a few minutes. I decided to add in some smoked paprika. I normally add that when I'm making jalapeno poppers, and I thought that would be good. So just season it to taste. I'm going to stir all of that until it's combined really well, and then we are going to place that into a greased baking dish. I have the recipe and it fit into a pie plate perfectly. Now, with this jalapeno popper dip, this was delicious. My husband and I absolutely loved this. We love jalapeno poppers, but sometimes it can kind of be a bit of a pain to make, especially if you're making it for a crowd, to sit and fill all the peppers and wrap them and stuff them and, all that. So this was delicious. Highly recommend if you like jalapeno poppers. Once I've got the dip part spread out into my pie plate, I'm going to work on the topping. So to this bowl, I'm going to add in my Parmesan cheese, the crushed crackers, the melted butter, and give that a stir. Once that's done, I'm going to sprinkle the cracker mixture over the dip, spread that out, and then this is going to go into the preheated oven and bake for about 20 to 30 minutes until it is bubbly and the crackers are golden brown. This is what it looked like when it came out of the oven. I did allow it to sit for about 5 minutes before I served it up. With all that cheese, it's going to be like molten lava if you eat it right away. Here's a picture of the plate. We have some of the dip, the sliders, the meatballs, and the veggie pizza. Everything was so delicious. Like I said, these meatballs and the veggie pizza are family favorites, and those sliders and especially that dip are new family favorites. So I recommend you give all of these a try. All right, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button below and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.